Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I don't know if I've posted much of myself on here, to be honest, because this channel is pretty new. I thought for this year 2020 I'll try and I don't know, put myself out there a little bit more for my channel to grow, and obviously for my work too and my business to grow. I've been doing makeup and hair for a little over 5 years, maybe 6, thereabout, properly I should say. Yeah, so it's been a lot of learning. It's genuinely been like a learning curve, and I sort of stumbled across this whole thing. It started off when I was at uni, and I would try and make myself look pretty every time I go out, because I started going out quite a lot, and honestly it was effort. So I knew that I had to put a little bit more effort if I wanted to, get into the nice bars, score with guys, get some attention, all of that jazz, okay? And I started putting on a bit more makeup, not as much, but I remember one thing I used to do quite a lot was wear a lot of dark smoky eye, because at that time that was in. Dark smoky eye or navy smoky eye with the nude lipstick. I had all the nude lipsticks you could think of. Yeah, and I started getting into like MAC and, expensive brands, I should say, because back in the day, mate, it was literally just like Superdrug and Boots makeup, and even that one, they didn't even have anything for dark skin at the time, which is, it is weird. Like when I go to the shops now and I see all those like different, and even like to see young people, they have so much variety, and they still be like, oh, I can't find it. Just like, mate, the things we used to deal with back in the day. But hey, that's not the point of this video. I've been doing makeup for, like I said, 5 to 6 years properly. And obviously I started off at uni at the time, going out, I've been wearing a lot more people were like, oh, do my eyebrows for me, or do this for me, or do my makeup for me. And I started off at one point, I think I did my sister's prom makeup. I would have loved to insert that picture here, but it was so bad. I don't even know where the picture is anymore. And we may have lost it, but it honestly wasn't great. But I did try. At that time, it was very difficult for me to understand foundations and the undertones and all of that. And at the time as well, we had a lot of foundations that mostly catered for white people, I should say, and lighter skin tones. Okay, so the few that we had, it didn't have like a warm undertone or like enough red or peach or whatever undertones you needed for, a darker skin person or an olive skin person. And so even at the time that I was doing my sister's makeup for a prom, boy, she kind of looked, she'll probably pick on this one if she watches this video, but honestly, I'm so sorry. I did try my best. She kind of looked all right, but hey, since then, a lot more people started asking me to do the makeup, or I suppose started asking me to do the makeup and the brows and whatnot. And I did those at the time, and then they developed into doing my hair for me. And then before I realized, it was like a thing that was a demand. And I realized that in the town that I live in now, there wasn't a lot of like black hairstylists, black MUAs, and literally everything was a white market. And sometimes, in towns like this, not a lot of white people are trained to do black people's makeup or trained to do black people's hair. And so I realized that it was a gap that I could fill in. I encountered a lady that I'm going to plug in here. Her name is Janice. She did, also known as Biami. I probably will put her details in there. I'll decide once I speak to her. Yeah, I did encounter where she did a trial for me. She was literally like the first black MUA that I met in in the town that I live in. Before then, I'd only encountered a few Asians and a few black people in the big cities when I went into them, like Birmingham and London. So that was very different for me. And for her to come to my house to come and do a trial on me, that was very different for me. At that time, I'd only done a few people's makeup, but it wasn't like a thing that I was actually looking to do. Okay. Since then, I've learned like quite a lot. Okay. A lot. I mean, there's still obviously room to learn and room to grow, and because things are just changing so quick, there's a lot of brands coming out now. Even in a month, there's so many brands that come out with like lines and makeup and lipsticks and all these things that I literally have to be on my toes to keep up with all these things. But for me, an avenue that I chose to do was to be a freelancer instead of, you know, be counter-based or, you know, go into a shop and work. Before, I used to fancy working in Debenhams. Yeah, you know, because that's pretty much where the early places that I saw people actually practicing the craft. Since then, I've obviously moved past that one, and I've realized that I can do this in my own time, at home, wherever I can do it, really. So yeah, I decided to do that, and for the past 5 to 6 years I've been doing that, and it's been paying off. It's not something a decision that I regret, because I've been growing. Okay, I've been learning a lot of things, and even I've improved so much with my personal makeup and doing makeup on several other people. Again, I'm gonna stick my Instagram page so you can get a sense of what I've been doing. I tend to gravitate towards like soft makeup, because I like women to still look like themselves. I like when I do someone's makeup and I can still see the skin underneath, you know, the color and the foundation. So I like to do those types of makeup. Don't get me wrong, I fancy editorial makeup sometimes, but I think for now, I prefer special occasion and bridal work. It's beautiful, it's simple, it's just like sophisticated, and I feel like I carry that vibe with me. I'm that kind of person. I like to do my makeup that way, so I want other people to look that way so they can see their own beauty. Yeah, so I'm gonna go into some of the lessons that I've learned. Okay, I think one important lesson that I've learned during makeup is learning the business side of it. Nobody tells you nobody tells you how much you've got to prepare and to be business savvy and to be aware of the cost involved, or I suppose we call them overheads, involved in managing a business like this. When you become an MUA, you're self-employed, nobody's looking out for you, so you have to like pay attention to how much is coming in, how much is going out, and you don't realize how much goes out. You're replenishing your kit constantly, because especially with certain products like MAC products, and if you work with predominantly white skin or dark skin, you're having to replace a lot of foundations in those, you know, for those people, those kind of skin tones. Okay, I want to say I don't want to say I learned it the hard way, but I kind of learned it almost the hard way, because I didn't factor all those things into it, and it took me you know, spending too much money sometimes to realize, nah, I need to, you know, be aware of these things and factor in this when I go to, you know, HMRC at the end of the year when they're coming for their money, the tax man. Okay, so I had to learn all these things, and travel expenses, all of that stuff as well. Even eating when you're on gigs, photo shoots, bridal stuff, and traveling to venues to do people's makeup for their weddings and stuff like that, bridesmaids. Like, you don't realize how much you're spending on all these different skin tones, especially when they're asking for different things. Lashes, that's a whole nother thing that I don't want to get into right now, but it's something that I had to learn the hard way. Another thing is buying disposables. That is also costly, and that's one thing that a lot of people, a lot of MUAs need to know about. There are some things that you can only do with disposables. You can't be using certain things right from the container, because you risk infection, and if the person gets infected, they're gonna come straight to you. So yeah, again, be careful with that one. Another thing that I have learned is to take pictures and get videos for when I do my makeup, my befores and my afters. You don't always have to take befores, and obviously you ask the person if they're comfortable with you posting it online, because we do get comments, you know, and sometimes the people whose pictures or whose images are on, they read some of those comments as well, so you have to be careful. But one thing I realized for the first few years when I started was that I wasn't actually recording videos or taking pictures, and I forget, because I wasn't very quick, and like I had to get used to the pace of a lot of things in different environments, because I was doing several different things for different occasions, weddings, photo shoots, and the timeline is completely different. You don't know about these things until you're in a photo shoot and they're like, can you produce this in like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Meanwhile, you take an hour and a half to do like somebody's makeup, or even the wedding when they need an hour and a half, and then they run it late. You have to do the makeup in half hour. Yeah, you have to learn those things. So it's just some of these things that I've come to learn that I wish I had paid attention to and I was aware of before. So I'm really here trying to help people. Okay, So yeah, do get photos and videos so you can post it on your channel, and yeah, you can benefit from it. Another thing that I've learned is to present your kit neatly and sanitize your products before you head out for every single gig. And even in between, like, you know, when you're doing bridals and you're in between like bridesmaids and whatnot, mate, use different brushes, use different products, sponges and whatnot. Like, you don't want to risk somebody looking at you and just thinking, she is dirty, or like you don't want to give that impression, because and I recognize that sometimes you're rushing or you're like doing things and you do forget. We're human, okay? But try and not use the same things on other people, because you risk transferring some things that, I mean, sometimes it does take time to, you know, for the person's skin to be restored if they're damaged in that way and it's caused by you. It just doesn't make you look credible. Saying that, I'm not the best all the time. I do make my own mistakes, and these are things that I've come to learn about in the last few years that I've been doing this work. Another thing is to be very respectful and very kind to people. Don't get involved in their conversations. Yes, every now and then, if the person makes you feel comfortable enough to contribute to the conversation in that moment with their spouse, their children, their friends, or whatever, while you're doing the makeup, feel free to contribute, but don't contribute too much. The person in that moment, unless they're your friend, it's not supposed to be having friendship banter with you, or like you getting involved in something that they don't expect you to have an idea or an opinion about. Do you know what I mean? You have to be mindful, and people do pay attention to these things. They do pick up on your body language. They pick up on your attitudes, your facial expressions, a lot of the things. The goal is to try and be professional, friendly, and approachable, and very relatable as well while you're doing that, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with human beings who are on a level, not in an office environment, or I mean, sometimes you do get office stuff as well, but generally you would rarely find people sitting in an office trying to put their, you know, diplomatic or their best self forward. You have to deal with them on a level and relate to them in a way that is respectful and just down to the level as a human being, and appreciate what they have to say without you becoming overbearing on them. Okay. Another thing is to engage with your clients. Sometimes it's good to be like, I want to follow your page, and then comment on the page, engage with them, get a sense of who they are, so that when you're talking to them in future or they book you again, you have some sort of rapport with them, build a rapport properly, and get a sense of who they are. I mean, you don't get that for all the clients, to be honest with you. There are some people who go out of their way to try and engage with you beyond your professional or your business level, and they try to be friends with you because they can connect with you on a deeper level. Those are blessings. And for me, I've learned that some of my clients, I did not meet them because of makeup. Yes, it was the avenue, but I feel like God connected me to them for me to see another side of life, for me to get another perspective of life, for me to get another perspective as a Black woman in the UK, to get a perspective of my profession, and even some prospects in life as well. So yeah, do consider all these things that you encounter when you're meeting other people. Again, I predominantly work with Black people in the town that I live in, so most of my examples are going to be connected to those. I do, however, work with whites and white people and other races, white women and other races every now and then. So yeah, those are some of the things that I've learned. In terms of budgeting and traveling, you don't realize how much you have to budget and prepare for the expenses that are gonna come your way. And I've probably mentioned a little bit about that, but I think when you're doing bridal makeup, you could be going to several different locations, and if you have to factor in time, whether you're traveling by coach, you're traveling by plane, you're traveling by I don't know, cab, whatever. Make sure that you get a receipt for that. Make sure that it's all going towards your allowable expenses, I suppose, with the HMRC, and you deduct all of those things, but you have to budget all of those in advance and anticipate how much you're going to be spending in for per gig, I should say. Yeah. And another thing that I've learned is how to take money for your gigs, I suppose. A lot of people tend to do a deposit first before you can secure the booking. I don't always work that way, depending on the kind of person that I'm dealing with. If I've worked with the person before, I know that I don't need a deposit. I know they know about my bank account and they will transfer me, and I know I can trust them, they're reliable, whatever. If it's a wedding, obviously, or a big transaction, I would recommend you send an invoice beforehand so that the person knows how much they're going to be paying for it. Again, prices differ depending on the location or the town in which you live, or the country, I suppose. But ideally, you can go with even your one of those like cash machine thingy, magic, I don't know, iZettle and stuff like that, and they can pay you right with their card there and then, or they can do bank transfer if they've got your bank details or you sent it to them before. Yeah, but as long as the person is prepared and they know that they're going to be paying a fee for that travel, for that preparation that you've done, for that effort that you've done, for that thinking that you've done connected to the work that you're going to be doing, for that makeup work that you're going to be doing, and even for that work that you did in that moment, they need to expect that this was a transaction and you need to be paying for it, and your time is rewarded or remunerated respectfully, you know, rather than them you going over to their space and then them assuming that this is just a free thing. I mean, it's up to you if you want to do that for some people or family members or whatever, but if you want to have a thriving business, you can't assume that like you're not working for a charity, yeah. You can't just be going out and be buying a lot of makeup and expensive brands, Fenty, MAC, you know, Lancome and whatnot, and just go and give it out for free. Might as well just dash them cash, you get me? So it's one of those things that you need to pay attention to and price your service properly. Check your original, you know, prices, and check your own value and how much effort you put in, the quality of your work, gauge all those things, how much time it takes from you, and know exactly how you want to price it. When you're dealing with people who don't want to pay you how much you quoted, it's important that you understand that you either want to work with them or you don't want to work with them. It's okay to say that you can't work with them based on how much they're offering instead, because I don't believe this is something that somebody should be bargaining, you know, I suppose haggling. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, this is your price. The people who are willing to pay for you or respect what you're doing or the service that you're going to be providing will definitely give you the honor of paying you how much you have said you deserve for the work that you're offering them, okay? There are other things that I've learned, but I think for the sake of this video, I don't want to exhaust too much time. Just be aware of what you're doing and having a true understanding that you're offering a service to a community, and you're working with people that you possibly encounter in future. Okay, so these things that I'm mentioning about respectful and making them understand that it's a business, those are conversations that they are things that you're communicating for the sake of your business, and it's important that you understand that you are paying a price with you dedicating so much time to all that you're doing, and understanding the need to grow in your skills, the need to grow in your rapport with people, the need to grow in your knowledge of even the places that you're going to be doing the makeup, and knowledge of yourself in general, so that you can improve on your craft daily, so that you can improve on even how you build your kit. Do you know what I mean? I think you should evolve with the times. If you need to be learning more about white people's makeup, and I say white people's in quote, if you're a black MUA or you specialize in doing black makeup, then you should take advantage of that learning that you need to do, so that you can benefit. And obviously, eventually that adds a bit more money to your pocket, or even more money. I shouldn't say a bit. We don't always know. Again, it depends on the region you live in. But these are some of the things that I learned. Some of them I learned the hard way, like I said before, and some of the things I've just picked up, you know, with interactions with people and the things that people have shared about other MUAs. And I know I've probably missed some things that I wanted to say in this video, but again, for the sake of time, I'm going to cut it short, and hopefully somebody who's trying to be an MUA or is an MUA and is still in the process of learning these things will pick up something useful for this video. If you're an MUA, aspiring MUA, freelancer, whatever, and you need some advice or any direction as to how to, you know, price products or whatever, you know, what to put in your kit, what to include, like how to manage your kit, not losing your kit, you know, stuff like that. I want questions, I want comments in the, you know, in the comment section, so I can be able to help you and offer some of the advice that I've had to learn along the way. So yeah, as always, I hope this video is useful, and I hope somebody benefits from it. So I'll cut it short, and I'll see you in my next one. As always, thanks for watching, by the way. Bye bye, people.